All right, welcome. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty. Figuratively anyway. We're digging deep into the science behind something gardeners call black gold, vermicompost. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll see exactly why it's considered one of the most powerful things you could ever add to your soil.
So, let me ask you, what's the real secret to a garden that's just explosive with life? You know, the kind that doesn't just survive but absolutely thrives. Is it some kind of magic fertilizer? A perfect watering schedule? Well, the answer is way more interesting and a whole lot more alive than you're probably thinking. It's this. A truly healthy garden isn't just about the plants you see up top. It's about the bustling, vibrant, living ecosystem happening right under your feet. And the absolute key to that whole system? Well, it comes down to some of the planet's most incredible little engineers, the humble earthworm. And that brings us right into our first section, the worm's secret recipe. Let's break down how this black gold is actually forged and what makes the entire process so darn unique.
Okay, so you've basically got two ways to make compost, right? On one hand, you've got traditional hot composting. That's a thermal process. It uses high heat. We're talking 130, 170 degrees to break everything down. But vermicomposting, totally different. It's a cool process, happening at just regular ambient temperatures. It's biological and it's driven entirely by the worms. Each worm is like its own tiny living bioreactor, completely transforming organic matter as it passes through its gut.
And the result of that cool biological journey? It's just, wow. You're looking at a finished product that has 10 to 20 times the microbial density of regular hot compost. Think about that for a second. An absolute explosion of beneficial life. And that concentration is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
So, okay, it's packed with microbes, but what does that actually do for your soil? Let's take a look at the solid stuff that comes out the other end, the castings, and see why so many people call it a foolproof foundation for any garden.
Just look at these numbers here. It's pretty clear, right? When you put vermicompost up against regular compost, the concentrations of the big three, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, are just off the charts. We're talking double, sometimes even more. But you know what? These numbers are only half the story. The way these nutrients are delivered, now that's the real game changer.
Here's the key. The nutrients are all delivered in this amazing, slow-release package. They're bound up with other organic compounds, which means the plant just kind of sips on them whenever it needs a little snack. It's not a big, sudden blast of chemicals. This makes it virtually impossible to burn your plants. You could put it right up against the most delicate little seedling, and it would be perfectly happy.
All right, so the solid castings are incredible. But what if you could take that power and, I don't know, basically put it on steroids? That's what we're doing when we brew a living liquid from it. We're going to go from solid gold to creating a literal microbial army for our gardens.
Now, first things first, we have to clear something up. That dark liquid you sometimes see dripping from the bottom of a worm bin, that is not compost tea. That's something called leachate. It's just runoff, and it can actually have some nasty, harmful bacteria in it. What we're talking about is a brewed tea, where we're actively pumping it full of oxygen to intentionally grow a massive population of the good guys, the beneficial aerobic microbes. And you know what? It's way easier than it sounds. You basically just take some of those high-quality castings, suspend them in some non-chlorinated water, and then you just bubble air through it with a simple aquarium pump for about a day or two. And that's pretty much it. That constant stream of oxygen is the magic ingredient. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for those good microbes, letting them reproduce like crazy.
And when I say like crazy, I mean it. During that 24 to 48-hour brewing cycle, the microbial populations can literally explode, increasing by as much as 1,000 times. So you see, you're not just extracting microbes, you're actively breeding a concentrated, living shot of life for your soil and your plants.
And this microbial army brings along some, well, let's call them hidden superpowers. The real magic of vermicompost goes way beyond just basic nutrition. We're about to look at the powerful biochemical compounds that give it these extraordinary effects. It really comes down to two main secret weapons. First, you've got natural plant growth hormones, or what scientists call phytohormones. And second, you have this remarkable enzyme called chitinase. One acts like a turbo boost for growth, and the other is basically a personal bodyguard for your plants. So let's talk about those phytohormones. Just think of them as all natural biological stimulants. You've got compounds like auxins that encourage roots to grow long and deep, and others like cytokinins that promote more leaves and stronger stems.
This is the reason you often see that rapid green up and just vigorous growth that nutrients alone can't really explain.
And now for the bodyguard, chitinase. This stuff is so cool. It's a specialized enzyme, and its one and only job is to break down a material called chitin. So you might be asking, what's made of chitin? Well, two things you really don't want in your garden: the hard, crunchy exoskeletons of many pest insects and the cell walls of disease-causing fungi.
So the presence of chitinase creates this amazing multi-layered defense. First, it acts as a repellent, making the plant less tasty to pests. Second, the plant can actually absorb it, which gives it this internal systemic resistance. But here's the wildest part. Its presence actually triggers the plant's own immune system, basically telling it, hey, you should probably start making more of your own chitinase. It's literally teaching the plant how to defend itself better.
So with all this science, how do we actually put it to use in the garden? It all boils down to a really simple but incredibly powerful two-part strategy. Think of it as foundation and catalyst.
First up is the foundation. This is your solid worm castings. You want to mix these into your garden beds, your potting soil, right at the beginning of the season. This is your long-term investment. It's what builds that beautiful soil structure, provides that slow-release nutrition, and creates that deep reservoir of microbial life that's going to last all year long.
Then, throughout the growing season, you bring in the catalyst. That's your freshly brewed tea. You use this as a quick hit boost. You can drench the soil with it or spray it right on the leaves for an immediate hormonal kick to help fight off disease pressure and just to give your plants that extra surge of microbial life right when they need it most.
And does this 1-2 punch actually work? Oh yeah. Look at this chart. In scientific studies on corn production, applying vermicompost tea as a soil drench resulted in a cob yield that was over 8 times higher than the untreated control group. Not 8% more, 8 times more. That's the power of this integrated approach.
Which kind of leaves us with this one big thought, doesn't it? What if the key to a more resilient, more productive, and healthier garden isn't something you buy in a plastic bottle? What if it's really about learning how to partner with the planet's oldest and smallest engineers? By understanding and using the power of vermicompost, we're not just feeding our plants, we're rebuilding the living ecosystem that sustains them. And that is a pretty powerful idea.